Hello everyone, Twisted Animatronic here, and finally we're unmasking the true killer of our beloved glamrock Bonnie. And I know you're probably thinking, well, we've already solved this, it was Monty, right? Well, think again, because that is completely blown out of the water with this theory. And this video will prove once and for all who the real killer of glamrock Bonnie is, why he was never just reactivated and reintegrated into the band, and who is behind it all. Now, immediately I'd like to dispel something which everyone seems to believe, and that is the carpet found underneath glamrock Bonnie's body. You know, where we find him in his green room and he's on top of this carpet. With many people simply believing that this carpet came from A, Monty Golf, or B, from the arcade area in Security Breach. While I'll tell you right now, that is completely wrong. You see, while there is a matching carpet in the arcade room, you know, the same design, the same patterns, there isn't anything to line up that this carpet was taken out of there. I mean, there would be a massive hole in the carpet, right? Where someone's literally cut a big rectangular space. And the same thing would be said for any way in Monty's Gator Golf. There isn't any evidence to support this, but you know where there is? It's somewhere we've been before. Somewhere, believe it or not, Bonnie was actually killed and we were in that very room. You see, it's pretty obvious that Bonnie never made it back to Bonnie Bowl because of this carpet, and this carpet comes from no other than Roxy Party Garage. Now hold it right there. That doesn't mean that Roxy committed the murder. Let me continue to explain. You see, this room in Roxy's Party Garage has an exact same carpet, the exact same matching design to the carpet that Bonnie was actually lying on top of. And I know you might be thinking, well, so did the others, but there's something hugely different here. You see, the others didn't have a cutout matching where the carpet came from. Roxy's Party Garage does a perfectly rectangular cutout where that carpet was taken from. The other areas do not have this, meaning this was indeed the carpet used in carrying Bonnie. And believe it or not, Bonnie was murdered in this very room. Well, I believe the fatal blow to be delivered in this room. But you might be asking yourself, well, why was Bonnie down in Roxy's Party Garage anyway? Because there was a message in Security Breach which clearly details his movements. You know, it says he's leaving his green room, then he goes to the arcade, and then to Monty Golf. You know, the catwalks above there. But what is extremely odd is it takes him, what, nearly 4.5 hours from leaving his green room to go to Monty's catwalks? It doesn't make sense. Something isn't adding up here. And just because he takes a stroll around the Pizzaplex doesn't necessarily mean that he was murdered by Montgomery Gator, right? You see, on first glance at Glamrock Bonnie's body, you'll immediately notice his chest, and that's where the most damage has obviously occurred, with 3 tears reminiscent of a slash. From swiping clothes, they start from the upper left of the shoulder and they go down diagonally, stopping at the base of the torso. And as we know, it's been pointed out a million times already that there's green marks all over the wound. Many people would assume that these green marks came from the attacker, and the only one who is green is Monty, right? Open shut case. But here's the curious thing. Looking at the upper left side of his face, you can clearly see that has been shattered, exposing all the inner endoskeleton, the wires, the head, and everything else. But notice something here? There's no shattered pieces from his face casing to be found anywhere in this room. That obviously suggests it happened somewhere else. And strangely, there's a broken bowling ball next to his head. Now, we all know what happened there. Markiplier has told us that story.
Bonnie was practicing some sick bowling tricks. He was flinging a bowling ball. It bounced off the wall, hence the crack, hit him right in the face, and then exploded into shrapnel.
But seriously, there's a broken bowling ball there, but no pieces from his head? That's because the broken bowling ball was placed there as evidence, or as they say in crime scene investigation, treatment. You see, that bowling ball was placed there to make it look like it was used as the murder weapon to kill Glamrock Bonnie and hit over his head. This clearly didn't happen because there's no shattered pieces around the body. But you know what wasn't placed there as treatment, and something which has gone completely missed? The staff bot parts. And curiously enough, these staff bot parts have got a strange colour. That's right, looking at them on close inspection, they're actually coloured green.
Green is not a creative colour.
You see, this arm part, to be exact, has green smudges and big green matter over the entire shell. The exact same green smudges appear on Bonnie's chest, and even the carpet he is laying on. The 3 slashes on his chest also equate to the 3 fingers on these staff bot hands. And lo and behold, there's only 2 staff bots in the entire game which have this sludge over them. One of them was never used, and the other, believe it or not, is found directly outside the old burned down FNAF 6 pizzeria. You know, the one in the sinkhole. What a coincidence. And this is where things start to get extremely interesting here. You see, we all know what lies down there just past them doors. It is the Mimic's room. Now, I'm not going to get into that just yet because you see, we still haven't solved out what's happened to Bonnie. He was killed in Roxy's party garage. That much is clear. They cut the carpet up and simply moved him to Bonnie's green room. And immediately you might be thinking, well, that's a bit of a way to take him. Well, actually, it's not, because believe it or not, Bonnie Bowl is directly connected by a backstage entrance to Roxy's raceway, meaning they could simply just hash him out the backstage door into Bonnie Bowl, far quicker than moving anyone from Monty Golf or the arcades. And that's what actually happened. The fatal blow, the last attack, was delivered there. He collapsed on this carpet. They simply cut the carpet up, moved it to his green room via the backstage entrance. But you might be asking, who? Why? Well, we've only got to look at the environmental storytelling and it'll give us our answers. You see, looking at this room, Roxy's party garage, you can clearly see what's happened here. There's green sludge leading away from that carpet, and it leads us directly outside of the garage and will lead directly down to the old FNAF 6 pizzeria. You know, the only place you can find that variant of Staffbot, and that's outside the FNAF 6 pizzeria. That is where the arm came from. So does that mean then that Bonnie actually went down to the FNAF 6 pizzeria just like Freddy himself did? You know, when Freddy tells us he went down there? Well, let me continue to explain because I want to dispel a myth here. You see, many theorists and people believe that Fazbear Entertainment planned to actually have Monty replace Bonnie. And if that was the case, surely they'd have a plan for people asking questions and statements, but they don't. The game actually tells us that Fazbear Entertainment didn't have official response as to why Bonnie was missing, meaning that they didn't have a plan to replace him. Otherwise, they'd have all these statements and press releases and the reasons why ready. They didn't. It wasn't part of their original plan. In VIP, the book, it actually tells us that Monty was part of the band with Bonnie, and Monty didn't have a green screen room. Bonnie's original room was on Rockstar Way, and later moved it to Bonnie Bowl? That's a questionable act, but something I'll cover later. This means that they never planned to decommission Bonnie, but they took advantage of it. You see, if they wanted to, surely they could have just simply repaired Glamrock Bonnie. I mean, they did it multiple times with Monty after he fell off the catwalks. That's confirmed in security breach through the logs, while something stopped them from doing so. You see, on closer examination of Bonnie's green room, as soon as you go into his room on the right hand side, there's a table, and on this table there's lots of staff bought parts. In one of the boxes we also find the parts for the green sludge variants of Staffbot, which is extremely odd. We know they're only found outside FNAF 6's pizzeria, in the sinkhole. Why would they be in Bonnie's green screen room? Well, we know Bonnie was transported from Roxy's party garage, hence why one of the arms was still there, transported with him, along with the carpet. They simply cut the carpet, picked him up, and moved him. And here's the thing, when they moved him, they also moved further evidence. You see, Bonnie didn't go down without a fight. You see, he attacked the staff bots when they were attacking him, hence why there's loads of damage just outside of the room. You see a trail of destroyed staff bots and crumpled chairs. That's where Bonnie was making his way back, believe it or not, from the FNAF 6 pizzeria. Now, I'll get onto why he was down there in just a second. You see, when he was on his way back from there, he was set upon by these green sludge bots. They were attacking him, and they chased him all the way out of the sinkhole and managed to catch him at the very top. And what's at the very top? That's right, Roxy's Raceway, where he tried to make his way through the garages to get to his green room, you know, the shortcut. But eventually they had him, delivering the fatal blow in the garage. But he didn't go down without a fight, and he left a wake of destruction. Staff bots galore. That's how we see this trail of destroyed staff bots and the crumpled chairs. That's where Bonnie made his way out of there. But you see, whoever ordered the hit on Bonnie made sure to clean all this mess up. They moved Bonnie's body, and they also moved all the wreckage. Well, most of it anyway. They picked up all the parts, put them in a box, and also moved that to Bonnie's green screen room, the hidden room, where no one would ever find it. That's why we see all the green sludge parts there. They picked them up and moved them there, hiding all the evidence. But if that was the case, that couldn't have been Monty, right? That doesn't make sense. That's because it wasn't Monty. Sure, Monty absolutely hated Bonnie. That's confirmed throughout the books, VIP, and in the game itself. In the VIP books, Monty's hatred is that great that if you throw him a piece of Bonnie candy, he stomps it into the ground. It's also alluded to the fact that he sabotaged a Bonnie go-kart. And Fazbear Entertainment simply wanted to cover up the fact that them two didn't get along. End of story. Fazbear tried to come up with this elaborate hoax that Bonnie passed the torch to Monty, which is completely false, but this is Fazbear Entertainment. And here's the real kicker for me. You see, throughout Security Breach, we're told by Freddy that they're not meant to harm guests, and not only that, the Glamrocks are friendly and neutral towards each other. They would never hurt each other maliciously. I mean, we see this throughout Security Breach. We climb in Freddy's chest hatch, and Chica, Roxy, Monty wouldn't even attack him, wouldn't even go near Freddy or even allude to damaging him, unless they were forced to do so by some mysterious virus or commanded by the Mimic 01 program. You see, if you haven't worked it out by now, it's pretty obvious that Bonnie was attacked by them green sludge staff bots, you know, the ones from in front of the FNAF 6 pizzeria. That's the only place they ever found, meaning Bonnie was down there for some reason. But who do we know who commands staff bots? There's only one person shown throughout the entire series to command them and to set the kill command, and that is Vanny. We see her do so in one of the endings against Freddy. She presses the button and all the staff bots go to kill him, literally, and that's what I believe has happened here. Vanny had set the bots to kill Glamrock Bonnie. But why just Bonnie? Why wouldn't she have commanded the bots to kill Freddy, Chica and Monty? Even Roxy was kept alive. Why? Why did she specifically have to kill Bonnie? Well, again, I think we figured it out. He was down at the FNAF 6 pizzeria. We know that because the evidence suggests he had destroyed one of these green sludge staff bots. I mean, the arm is literally on his carpet where he was carried from. There's a trail of green sludge coming from the sinkhole into the murder scene where Bonnie was killed, and that green sludge only comes from them staff bots, which come from the FNAF 6 pizzeria, indicating they literally chased him out. And as I said earlier, we even have the destructive wick, you know, the crumpled chairs, the other destroyed bots which were not moved. But here's the thing, Freddy had been down there too, but he implied he went down there with Vanny, right? You know, where he says, I found myself for the first time, she brought me down here, you know, that spiel. But in Bonnie's case, it seems highly likely he went down there of his own accord. And if he went down there of his own accord and wasn't told to go down there, he'd find some pretty alarming stuff. I mean, we know in Ruin, the Mimic is literally down there, so he would find the Mimic either A, not shut in his original location, or B, shut in his original location with the MXEX active, which I don't believe to be the case because I think MXEX is definitely active, but not the upgraded version we see in Ruin. I believe that came from Gregory. But we're missing a very important step here. The caution bots. The caution bots around Glamrock Bonnie and the ones we see throughout Ruin. How do they play into all of this? Now, them caution bots are referred to as souls in the game files. Steelwool know that people go into the files and look for the lore there. So they specifically named these caution bots souls in the game files. Now, does that mean that these caution bots are actually souls of individuals from the Pizzaplex, whether it's staff, whether it's the victims, which we know VIP had killed, or the other victims throughout Security Breach, the ones we see at the end of the bad ending in the newspaper? Whatever it is, Steelwool wanted us to believe these are souls, and believe it or not, there was a scrapped mechanic in Ruin which actually had a soul meter, and every time you deactivated one of these caution bots, the soul meter would tick down, indicating they were like set free perhaps? As we know, these caution bots have a yellowish glow to their eyes, exactly like the glow in Bonnie's eyes. And as we know, if we deactivate every single caution bot, Glamrock Bonnie's eyes extinguish, go out, just like the staff bots, indicating he too has either been set free or is now completely out of power. Now we know how Glamrock Bonnie ended up where he is, who done it, what led up to his events, but why? What had he seen? What had he found? And how does it match with these caution bots? You see, the only logical explanation here to link Bonnie to these souls in these caution bots would to be that he'd actually seen the victims or found some of them. And if he'd found them in the Pizzaplex, surely he would just alert the security systems, right? And would mean he wouldn't have gone down to the FNAF 6 pizzeria in the sinkhole. Logically, that couldn't have happened. He went down to the FNAF 6 pizzeria and saw bodies down there, thus linking him to some type of soul. Upon discovering these bodies, or a body, he immediately alerts the security. Unfortunately for him, security is Vanessa. She's head of it. Thus the alert goes straight through to her. She comes down to the FNAF 6 pizzeria, or, in this case, orders the bots at the FNAF 6 pizzeria to destroy Bonnie. Thus, thus totally silencing and getting rid of any evidence against her. What she didn't bank on, however, was Bonnie fighting back, being stronger than she'd anticipated, and that was the fatal flaw in her plan. All these animatronics all along are fighting back. We've seen Chica fighting back against the glitch trap virus. Freddy finds himself, fights back against the mimic virus. Roxy redeems herself, fights off against the infection, reboots, saves Cassie. While Monty, unfortunately, he was too far gone. This, for me, is a theme. Just like the original victims in the original FNAF games, they're fighting back against William Afton. And in this instance, Bonnie was fighting back against the new William Afton, the glitch trap virus, Vanny. Unfortunately, he was too late and he was stopped and his death was covered up, just like the original MCI victims. You see, Bonnie, he's not controlled by a soul himself, he's merely just powered by the anguish, the agony of the souls inside the system now, in these caution bots. You see, these victims who were killed inside the Pizzaplex were not able to go into any animatronic as a soul as such, so they go inside the system, and the only thing they can basically try and infect is these caution bots. But Bonnie, being now aware of these victims in the Pizzaplex, is now aware of what could potentially go on. So these souls try and power Bonnie to avenge them, to help them move on. And thus, when we deactivate the caution bots, we're kind of helping the spirits move on. And that's why when the last caution bot is deactivated, Bonnie himself can now power down, knowing that their spirits have moved on. We've released them from the Pizzaplex. It makes for a great parallel for the original Happiest Day in MCI, you know, helping the souls move on. That then explains why the caution bots were called souls, and that when we had the scrapped soul meter, it was ticking down, and then eventually Bonnie himself deactivates. That's the only way I can confidently explain it. And something extremely interesting we have missed is Monty's glasses. Everyone seems to think that Monty took the star-shaped glasses off of Bonnie, right? It makes sense. Well, this doesn't seem to be true, because in VIP, which is basically at the start of the Pizzaplex's lifespan, Monty and Bonnie are in the band together, right? And believe it or not, Monty and Bonnie both have star-shaped glasses, because in VIP, Monty is described as having his glasses the same time as Bonnie, so he didn't take them off his corpse. I think up until this point, everything else is 100% solid. Do you still believe Monty to be the killer despite all the evidence we possess today? And what do you think on the caution bots being souls? How would you answer that? I read every single comment, so I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, because I put a lot of work into this video, and subscribe for even more FNAF content coming up. And there's loads on the channel. I highly recommend checking it out. If you enjoy Security Breach and just FNAF in general, go check it out. Massive thanks to the members who are on screen now who help support and keep this Pizzaplex running. Lauren C, who's a golden twisted one, and Penguin Lover 12, who's an ultimate theorist and a twisted animatronic. And as always,
stay safe out there, superstars.